the pharaohs of Egypt to the super eagles flight, the Atlas lions roar with might. The elephants of Cote d'Ivoire charge ahead, Teranga lions never dread. The black stars shine in Ghana's sky, Bafana Bafana dance, spirits high. The sable antelopes leap with grace, and the desert foxes set the pace. One Africa, one goal. Feel the passion in your soul. From the mountains to the shore, we play for pride, we roar as one. Moj Africa, Mojandoto. One Africa, one dream. Uma Africa, umenti so. One Africa, one mind, sing. Moj Africa, one Jandoto. Uma Africa, one mind, sing so.
Welcome to Inside AFCON on 97.3. I'm Gabi Ofe, and I welcome you to the show. Another episode is Monday, January 5, 2026. And just like we always say, it's an interactive show, so you can send in your thoughts on the WhatsApp line 0539969996. Well, the knockout phase of the AFCON in Morocco is gathering pace with a round of 16 still in action, and the first quarter-final place is already decided. So this is the place for the preview, the review, get into some predictions ahead of the two games happening later today at 4 p.m.
Unity in every place.
Then at 7 p.m. there's Nigeria taking on Mozambique. And then Egypt, who are in action in some few minutes, they come up against Benin. Welcome to the show. I'm Gabi Ofe. Just like I said, feel free to join the conversation. Let's get interactive. 0539969996. Inside AFCON 2025 on 97.3.
Let the world see how we do it. Moj Africa, Moj.
Got Benada Beko Train Studio, Yao Ej Minta, Benjamin Nketia, the fundamentals. Yeah. Did you know the fundamentals?
Massa. Well, you have been away. People have been asking about you and Yao a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Every time I come behind the mic, where is Shiny Brother 1 and 2?
Oh, really?
They
are back.
Charlie,
but the name is Cow, because I can tell you places I've been, right?
Listen, but they go on.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Well, guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Inside AFCON 2025. Somebody said that the boys are getting separated from the men. Today there's a big game, two big games. I mean, take it or leave it. Egypt's taking on Benin. Egypt's decorated. One of the sides that have won the AFCON so many times, 7 times. Taking on Benin. And then at 7 p.m., there is Nigeria taking on Mozambique. But before we come to those games, right, let's just take a quick look at some of the games that happened yesterday, and then we'll get into the games for today. So we had Morocco taking on Tanzania, and then South Africa. They were kicked out by 2017 and 5-time AFCON champions in Cameroon. That scoreline was not too surprising to me. Let me start off with you, Ben.
Which of the bands?
Not you, though. I'm talking about the fundamentals.
That's it. Yeah.
But let me start off with you. Cameroon. When I watched that team, right, they gave me the 2017 vibe. I'm talking about this current squad. Just what I thought about that game against South Africa. I listened to Hugo Bruce speak, and he spoke about the fact that they were very, very wasteful in the final third, and that actually cost them against Cameroon. Just what I thought about that game.
I think South Africa will come away from that game feeling very disappointed on the day, because it's one of those football scripts that if you followed and probably left the game midway, came back, and you had been told that Cameroon had won the game, you probably wouldn't have believed it. But It's tournament football, and tournament football is more about efficiency, less about flamboyance, and so that's what happened. Cameroon put up a very efficient performance. I thought that South Africa should have made their lead count, and I'm always very happy when teams that are wasteful get punished and they get dumped out in painful fashion, because if you watch the game, if you look at XG numbers, quality of chances created, intensity of pressing, everything went the Cameroonians' way. They did everything right in that game. Not Cameroon, South Africa. They did everything right in that game. They created the better chances, and I feel like at least in the first 30 minutes should have gotten a goal. Now, the timing of the Cameroonian goals, I believe, were extremely crucial. So if you look at the first goal that Cameroon scored, almost came out of nothing, and perhaps that's why I probably sympathize with South Africa a little. Ball is played into the box, the clearance is poor, and I think for that probably they deserve to be punished. Didn't clear the ball, fell back in, and then Cameroon scored. It was literally not what you would call a goal scoring chance, out of nothing. And I feel like that was the turning point in the game, because after that, South Africa's dominance declined. Cameroon felt more confident. They were stringing together more passes. But also, this game says a lot to me about Cameroon generally. I mean, following I would say the golden generation, because when you had their golden generation, they were more accustomed to dominating the ball, dominating play, creating most often than not better chances than their opponents, and then winning the game as well. This team, I mean, even from when Hugo Bruce himself won with them, they've become a lot more of a counter-attacking team, a more pick your moment in the game type of team, and that's what they did again. Scoring in the 47th minute after coming from the break, I think, is what nailed South Africa's coffin, because if you concede close to the end of the first half, you are shell-shocked. You try to gather yourself. You get through a team talk. You motivate yourself that, you know what, we can do this. We can close this gap. And then in less than 5 minutes, your game plan is undone again. It just leaves you reeling. I think that's what happened. In the end, they were able to pick up the scraps, but they know themselves that they let themselves down. This is a game that they should have wrapped up. They will watch the highlights of this game and they'll probably ask themselves how they didn't win. So in the end, efficient football won. Beautiful football was appreciated, but it can go home, take a seat on the couch and watch efficient football.
You know, I'm all smiles when I listen to you speak, because you made mention about at the tournament, right? You don't need to always be flamboyant and all of that. And that takes me to the next conversation I want y'all to touch on. That has to do with Mali. They've not won any game at the tournament. It's just been a couple of draws, and the latest one was against Tunisia. Yeah, talk to me about what you've seen with the Malians. I mean, people have the view that you don't need to go to a tournament and go and play all the flamboyant football and then end up with nothing.
Well, it's clear that Thompson Feet has identified the general weakness in this Malian team, and he's built an identity around it. And after guiding Mali to get past Tunisia and get into the quarterfinals, I wrote on my X page that yes, another reminder that Ghana could have had Thompson Feet, and it's not because of the playing style. I mean, if it was down to the playing style, then Otuado will be fine. Otuado will be fine, because it's even worse than Otuado handling of the Black Stars, or the Black Stars way of playing under Otuado. But the thing is, at least there's an identity. What is the identity of the Black Stars under Otuado? But with Thompson Feet, there is a clear identity, because this Malian team is not the Mali team of old that had top midfielders and solid players leading the front like Frederick Kanute. They don't have those kind of players. They don't have a Seydou Keita in there. Bissouma, he's gone off the rails because of his disciplinary issues, and it has affected his on-field production. You look at the fact that back in the day, they had Mamadou Diarra, who used to play for Real Madrid. All of those guys are not there. There's a new crop of group of players coming together, and they don't have those qualities yet. And so, at this point in time, what do you do to ensure that you're able to get the best out of them. And that's exactly what Tom Saintfiet has done so far and is doing, in the sense that you make them as difficult to beat as possible and make them as efficient as possible, in the sense that the very few chances that they're able to create, they're able to make maximum use of it. They haven't created too many chances, but at the end of the day, they've created just enough and scored just enough.
I think it's
out of those
we saw
few chances to be able to progress. To be able to progress to the quarterfinals of the AFCON. Because mind you, even that game they played against Ghana at the Accra Sports Stadium that they lost, how did Ghana even get that goal? Scrappy play. Scrappy play. There was even a legit shout for a foul.
I even think the one we beat them in Bamako, it was down to you want to say individual brilliance, because the goals came from Jordan Ayew
and the chap from who plays at Olympic Lyon,
Enes
Nyama. Yes, and so that's how he's built his team, and so you have to credit him, because as poor as it looks and as irritating as it looks on screen, and it is very difficult to watch for long stretches, but at the end of the day, it is his identity. Whether you want to call it haram ball, you want to call it Catanaccio football, you want to call it parking the bus, at the end of the day, there's something to identify or associate the team with. And they've been able to get it done very well so far. And I'm going up against Senegal. I don't think they will be able to get past Senegal. But at the end of the day, with this group of players and what he's been able to do, getting to the quarterfinals, I don't think it will be a bad mark for Tom Saintfiet and Mali. Should they do the near impossible and beat Senegal and make it to the semi-finals, that would be more than enough to have as a bonus for all the good work that he's been able to do so far with this Malian team.
Okay. All right, so Mali through to the quarters. They will take on Senegal. Same with Cameroon. Also through to the quarters. They are up against Morocco in the quarterfinal. Let me come to Bernard. Bernard, talk to me about the host nation. The last time they won the AFCON 1976, they are nearing that 50-year wait for an AFCON title. They had Tanzania to deal with. People say that they should have done way more better. I mean, they had to rely on the quality of Brahim Diaz. I think that was his fourth goal. In the tournament,
and
Morocco to score in 4 consecutive, actually.
See,
it speaks about the quality he's brought into this team.
And he's not the only guy at the party, is he? Because I feel you look at the stats available, and they did about close to 90% of passing the ball around. They pinned the Tanzanians to their own shell, not allowing them an opportunity, just a shot on target, and that speaks a lot. It tells you about the dominance. It tells you about a ready North African country who is hosting it and wanting to emulate the feat that was achieved by the Ivorians. And they seem to for the Ivorians, they started poorly until they switched to a different coach, and things began to set in right. But for them, they've got an experienced coach, in the dugout. They've gotten players who are super talented as well. And strangely, a player that was not tipped to shine is the guy who is shining.
That's Diaz.
I mean, he is not getting regular.
I think it was what's the striker's name? El Kabi that took the shine in the last so the group stage, because he was the one scoring a lot of the goals, even though Diaz also scored, I think, in the first game. But the headline was always around El Kabi up until Diaz came in the quarters. So I think I agree.
So the new Tanzania were not going to produce any threats of the sort against them. So they went all out against that side, and made sure they made or they took advantage of certain situations in the game. And I always say football is about moments and chances. So if you have your moment, you take it. And as host nation, they have the funds rightly behind them. They just kept the press on, pinned them in their own corner, and then decided to punish them in that fashion. Just finish it in 90. Don't progress it. Don't waste the time of the fans who've trooped in numbers to watch. So I feel it was a healthy I'm of the opinion that they've not met tougher opponents yet. Maybe against Cameroon, who's more structured, a well-organized side,
so
more tactical. They were
tested.
What was going to happen? I know we'll get there, but what they did to Tanzania, they'll face a similar identity with the Cameroonians, which is sort of they will sit in deep and allow them to play the ball. But when it's a quick break, they are really going to be punished. And unfortunately, Tanzania were unable to utilize that as a key strength because they don't have the men. So for me, I knew Morocco were always going to stand tall in that particular fixture.
Okay, so Morocco also through to the quarterfinals of the AFCON. They are looking to win it for the first time in 1976. Ben,
let me just share a few thoughts on that game because, look, Morocco needs to be very careful. I've been watching the football from them so far.
Yeah,
it's not convincing. Of one, a host nation, and two, a team that made it to the semi-final of the World Cup.
Yeah.
I feel like they're falling a few paces off, and that is kind of ironic because I think that in terms of personnel, they've actually gone up in quality. So it's almost like a chemistry thing. They don't look as cohesive in the final third of the pitch. Everywhere else they seem pretty decent. The passing is good, the ball retention is decent, but when they get in the final third of the pitch, it's like the players are just not on the same wavelength. And I say that Tanzania didn't have a lot of goal scoring opportunities in that game, but they had at least two glaring chances that I thought they should have put away. If they had put any of those chances away, I feel like Morocco would have been in extremely hot waters. And so far, I don't think that their mental edge to come back from games or to claw back from difficult situations has been tested. And so I just thought that they would be a lot more dominant than they've been in the competition, especially based on the difficulty of opposition they've had. So I want to hope, or I want to believe that
you think Cameroon will give them that test.
They will need everything in their toolkit to win that game. Absolutely everything. Look, if what you see from Cameroon is anything to go, and that's what I like about the Cameroonians. You see, they are. They go to mental war with you before even the physical football war on the pitch. They will win a mental battle against you. They are one of the toughest sides on the continent. You can take the lead against them, and they still believe that they will come back even if it is the final minute of the game. That's the kind of team they are. And so for Morocco, I will be interested in seeing how well oiled they are in breaking down Cameroon, because Cameroon have a very organized midfield and a defense. They are also probably physically stronger than the Moroccans. And so it will be interesting to see how they go about creating chances in that game. But shout outs to Tanzania. I think they carried themselves very well in that game. And that, I mean, if they had a decent finish out too, we could have easily been having a different conversation.
Touches actually in the Moroccan box for Tanzania was 6, and it's painful.
I think they hit the bar once, and then they had a chance that they just from like 6 yards out or 4 yards out, just glaring. They just blew it. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Tanzania, they're actually co-hosting with Uganda and Kenya for the next AFCON. And they also hosted the last CHAN tournament. So in fact, they use the CHAN tournament as more like a dress rehearsal for the 2027 AFCON. So we'll keeping tabs on them. And so the teams that have qualified for the AFCON, there's Senegal, Mali, Morocco, and Cameroon. So what it means for the quarterfinals, the first 2 matches, Mali will take on Senegal. Cameroon are up against Morocco Friday, January 9. Mali Senegal is also the same time, so that's when the quarterfinals will kickstart at the Stade Prince Moulay Abdallah in Rabat. Okay, let's take our attention to today's games. Right, there is
hold on. You didn't touch on Kwesi Appiah. Touch on Maele was okay. Maele
just quick on that.
I was disappointed in Sudan.
Yeah.
Especially based on how they started the game.
Okay.
Scored a brilliant goal. I think they got carried away by the nature and how spectacular the goal was, and also the kind of momentum it came with. So ideally, I thought that this was a game where they were going to park the bus, pick their moments and then counter.
Yeah.
And they look like they had the personnel for it. Very pacey wingers, very technically gifted wingers. And so I was surprised when they went up and they decided to turn it into an end-to-end game.
I think they wanted to match the Senegalese. That's what I realized in the second half, especially.
I mean, that's just
That's
just very naive and very ignorant to play. No, honestly, I was shocked because if you look at the first Senegalese goal, it was a transition goal. The fullbacks were all up the field. The defenders were scrambling to get back, and then the ball went through them. Second goal, they had a more solid line, but some way, somehow, the Senegalese managed to play a through pass right through them and to their player. So, Kwesi Appiah really, I think he let them down tactically in that game. On a temperament level, again, he let them down. Because after getting that goal, all they needed to do was calm down and say, you know what, let's park the bus and frustrate these guys. If they could have seen out that first half to at least, seen out that first half even 1-0, give them a chance to re-strategize. Let your stronger favorite opponents sweat on not getting a goal in the game. But I don't think they handled the mentals of that game well at all. Because if I look at it and I look at the previous encounters between the two teams, I think they I won't say they are close in quality, but I think it's closer than most people would think.
It's good that you mentioned the last encounter because I think they were in the World Cup qualifiers, the same group, and Senegal lost to Sudan. That's when a lot of people began to pay attention to what Kwesi Appiah was doing. But I think we should. Okay, let's all do this on a scale of 1 to 10. If you had to rate him based on what he's done in the World Cup, and then the AFCON. To the state, because Sudan. If you monitor what the Sudanese are saying, I saw a video of a Sudanese journalist. A lot of the people are excited or very happy with what he's done.
No. I said to say I'm disappointed in their elimination is not to say I'm disappointed in his body of work as a Sudanese coach. I just think that one, they were heavy underdogs for this game. Based on how the game started, they should have been able to ride the momentum and at least made it, even if you're going to lose, they should have at least made it more challenging for the Senegalese. But to go ahead, score a spectacular goal like that, roll over and lose 3-1. And if you see the nature of the goals that they conceded, then it was really pathetic. It was almost like once Senegal got the equalizer, I was like, okay, here we go again. It's like, okay, this is really our level. Thank you guys for coming. We've done our best. We are going to lose this game. So I just feel like they need to believe in themselves a bit more. They need to be a little more tactically disciplined in games where they are not favorites. Don't go acting like you are the one with the upper hand in the game when you are not.
Yeah. And
Ben didn't rate him, what did he?
I'd rate his work so far would be like a 7 over 10.
Wow.
Like 7, 8 over 10 because
so this is how you've combined what you saw in
World Cup qualifiers, tournament, everything. Yeah, I think he's done a really good job.
Mayeli.
8 over 10.
8.
8 over 10 because at the end of the day, you look at the situation where Sudan have qualified beyond the group stage for the second time since 1970 at the AFCON. And you look at the fact that back in the first time that they did after 1970, that was in 2012, the 2012 AFCON. At that time, that was the height of Sudanese football. Post their 1970s brilliant run. Because at that time, Al Marek, Al Hilal, those two teams,
they were on top form.
They were on top form. They were competing consistently in the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League, CAF Confederations Cup. They were attracting some of the best players from Sub-Saharan Africa to the Sudanese League and to those teams. And so times were good. And for Maele to be able to, Kwesi Appiah to be able to get Sudan to match what they did several years ago in the midst of war, in the midst of famine, in the midst of a lot of anxiety, insecurities, like it was just brilliant. And so for me, yes, I wouldn't give it a 10 over 10, and 9 over 10 I would have wished if he had been able to get quarters. If he had been able to get to the quarters, then I'll give him 9 over 10. Looking at what he's done with the World Cup and the AFCON, if he had been able to get to the World Cup, that would have been utterly brilliant. But he couldn't get Sudan to the World Cup, and that whittled it down to 9 or maybe 8.5. and they not being able to get to the AFCON quarterfinals, that takes it down to a little bit more. So that's how come I rated 8/10 because he's done a brilliant job. He's done a very good job.
Bernard, you have the final say on your former coach.
I rate him 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah, I wanted to do 4.9.
Why have you deducted a lot from 7 to 8 to drop to 5.5?
You know the Tunisian coach, he qualified his nation to the
Sami Trabelsi.
He qualified Tunisia to the World Cup.
Yeah, he's been sacked.
He gets into an AFCON. Which state did he exit?
But why would you want to peg what Sami has done?
There's room for improvement. If you allow balls through the middle of your defense to go, I feel that's not proper defensive organization. Enough, and that's rest on the shoulders of the coach.
Okay,
you cannot take it away. The defensive organization, when attacking and when defending, lies with the coach. It sits in your team system and all of that. I'm sorry, he's a good friend, but a 5.5 is enough for him. Did he qualify
more room
Sudan?
For improvement, right?
Did he qualify Sudan to the world? It's the situation Sudan as a country is in that's seem to excite them when they win their first game. For example, football has a thing. The Black Stars perform poorly. We qualify for the World Cup and it's jams in town. The Black Stars suffer defeat against Comoros. We have a game against Mali, and the Accra Sports Stadium is full. But prior to that, we hear a lot of commentaries. Fans say, Black Stars in the the coach is whack. We are not going to show up. But the stadium is filled. When you are even trying to control them, they are fighting their way into supporting the nation. So football has a thing with fandom and how, because it's an emotion. It's a bit of an emotional institution. So I feel there's more room for Kwesi to improve on things, to improve that.
And it looks like things are really looking good for him because the Sudanese Football Federation are.
Because of where they come from. I don't want to go into the history I'll speak of. That's why I want to build it from there. Look, from where they've come from, this feat is like your child is not good in school, right? Maybe he's in a certain grade A school and he's always maybe if they are 20 in class, he's always 15th or whatever.
And then there's one time you
switch school, by travel you get some space. And then, he's in top 2 in that school. It's golf in class. So I feel if you are wild enough and I'm not doubting his tactical prowess. I feel he's a good scout or he uncovers great footballers for countries. But it will take time. That's why I'm putting 5.5 to his name. It takes time. He's not gotten there for me to put him at 8.5 or a 9. That's huge. That's close to say, how are you going to rate Ragragri for
9.5 so far for me.
And where will you put Kwesi Appiah? 8.5?
Me? My rating? I'll give Kwesi Appiah 6.
That's fine.
The Inside AFCON 97.3. I'm Gabriel Fain, studio with Benjamin Nketia, Yao Ejeminta, and Bernard Abeg-Horshe. Let me jump onto YouTube, right? The guys are also sharing their thoughts over there. And trying to chip in their Amorim sacking and all of that. Sweet Kwame 357 says, Amorim ball one sacking with a laughing emoji. He's always with us. Amorim goeth back to Portugal.
Friday, right? Ben? Friday was introducing the Old Testament language.
Leslie Bobbyson 434 says, Shining Brother 1. Sweet Kwame 357 says, he says I was doing shiny things. I don't know what you're talking about. Sweet Kwame 357 says I remember some of your guys said South Africa will beat Cameroon. Okay. Edmond Ayoka says great show. Joe Miller 1 says Deputy brought Shining to welcome on board.
Yeah, today he's calm. Today I was much calmer.
Referring to you.
He seemed to be working on his phone as well. So he's calm.
Old Funny Video says yesterday one of your guys said he knows a lot about Ineos and Manchester United. I can't wait to hear his take on Amorim's sacking. Okay, we don't worry. We'll do the Amorim conversation for you a bit later. Let's jump on to our next game that kicks off at 4 p.m. is Egypt taking on Benin. Let me run you through the starting 11 and then I'll come back to the guys to take their thoughts ahead of that game that kicks off at 4. p.m. And then the second game for today is at 7 p.m. Nigeria are taking on Mozambique. Let me start off with Egypt. The starting 11. They've got El Shanawi in post. The back four of Hamdi, Rabia, Ibrahim, and also Hani. Fathi is in midfield there with Ateya. Mohamed Salah captain for today. Adel Trezeguet and Mamouche leading attack for the Egyptians. For Benin, they have Danjino in post. A back four of Oru, Verdun, Tijani, Roche. There is also Imurani in midfield with Dialmeda. And then a front four of Olitan, Dodo, Aloko, and Tosin. Not Tosin Adarabayo though. Yeah, this is Tosin for Benin. Egypt topped Group B, but needed the last gaps winner to beat Zimbabwe. Ben, talk to me about what you think about the Egyptians' run so far at this stage. People say Salah is being fooled by the Liverpool episode and all of that, and that has to help Egypt go far in the tournament. And that if they want to win an 8th AFCON title, will be dependent on Salah to take this team that far. Where do you think this team can get to, starting with this clash against Benin?
It's a good game. It's a good game, first of all. Benin are also one of those teams that are unpredictable. Obviously, will come into this one as underdogs, but again, they've not had a great tournament. That's one of the things that gets masked by when you have a big pool of teams in a tournament where you get certain teams qualifying outside of finishing top 2 in their group. You have teams like this being able to sneak in. Now, for Benin, their biggest problem has been goal scoring.
Okay.
And if you look across board, I think they've scored just 1 goal in their last 5 matches. So that has to be a big worry for them. And they've conceded quite a number of goals as well. So a team that can't score goals but can concede a lot of goals, one thing they are good at doing is looking good on the pitch. But you see, that's like the worst thing ever.
Wait, when you say looking good, asking what
they know
they're busy for nothing.
No. They know how to crisp pass the ball.
Oh, okay.
The movement is good.
Yeah.
They just don't have end product to their game.
Oh,
typically that's the type of team
Yeah.
you are dealing with when you have Benin. So the passing will be good, the movement will be good. They will create chances, but they are extremely wasteful. And then they are not, again, as solid at the back. And so in a game like this, to be honest, I think that they are strong underdogs in this game. Egypt will have to be completely out of their depth to be able to lose this game.
Okay.
I don't think that and the Egyptians have been tidy. Like they've not blown me out of the water with their performance, but they've not been underwhelming either. And I think that if you are in a tournament type setting, that's exactly about where you want to be.
More
especially
like a decent outing.
good. So it's like your performances are gradually going up, but you have not peaked just yet.
Okay.
You don't want to peak too early because you might score all your goals in a group phase, get out of the group phase, and then all of a sudden you remember that, or you realize that you've hit your top gear. So for Egypt, I think there's like 2 more levels to which they can go, and so it's a good sign. Their talisman is scoring, meaning that he's confident, meaning that he will be giving guidance to the rest of his guys on the pitch. Out behind as well, they are pretty solid, and they rested quite a number of their players. I think they made about 6 or 7 changes to their lineup in the final group phase game. So that should be a long enough time, rest, recover, strategize, and know how to take this game. Also, for Benin, like I said, if they need to win a game like this, two things need to happen. They need to be able to exploit set piece situations. Can you score from corners? Can you score from crosses? Can you score from dead ball situations? And then can you take your chances? Again, if you've seen the outlook of the group phase and even the round of 16 games, the teams that have been eliminated have not been eliminated because they didn't play well or they it's just because they couldn't score.
Yeah,
they created a chance.
So more like wasting chances.
They've been very wasteful. So hopefully for Benin, I think it's unlikely, but if they can find their scoring boots, they can make this game tense. Egypt are not an unbeatable team. They can push this game to extra time, force the Egyptians to sweat. If it goes to penalties, it could be anybody's game for the taking, but it's a big if and a big ask of them to become clinical all of a sudden when they haven't been in like the past couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this Benin team. the last 2 times they face a top African team, so Nigeria, South Africa, in those 2 games, they've conceded 7 goals. This is another tough test with Egypt coming in, like Ben says, that they need to make a certain statement. Do you see that happening again? Might they concede early?
Yeah, I don't expect a quicker scoreline against Benin, but I definitely do see Egypt getting past Benin, and it's pretty down to the quality that Egypt have, particularly in the front line. Once you have Omar Mamouche in there, once you have Mohamed Salah in there, you know that whatever deficit that you have offensively, those 2 can make up for it. And that's not the case for Benin, because I look at that team and their most consistent scorer is Steve Mounier, and I don't see him in the starting lineup. And so that raises some alarm. And so for me, I definitely do not see them being able to score.
Only goal in the last 5 games came against Botswana.
So I don't expect.
Charlie, how is Benin?
Which was
Ghana is not.
That's the only game they won in the group phase.
Because at the end of the day, look, you need to score goals. I mean, there's only so much you can do to take the game to extra time and to a penalty shootout. And in that sense, Benin lack some major bites, but Egypt on the other hand look to be fine. And when I compare that with, or I just oppose that with their rock solid defense, their goalkeeper Shenawi, they had a bit of a wobbler in their first game against South Africa. No, in their game against South Africa. No, in their group game.
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe. In their group game against Zimbabwe. But he's been able to recover from that shaky performance, and he's been able to come out to deliver the kind of performance that we've become accustomed to. And so when I put it all together, I definitely do see Egypt beating Benin, but I don't see a cricket scoreline. I expect to see maybe a 1-0 or 2-1 win for Egypt.
Well, let's see if that scoreline will play out. Bernard, you have the final say on the Egypt-Benin clash. Maybe you probably have a soft spot for Benin to do one over Egypt.
Actually do, because Egypt have
but
to
wait,
be serious.
Are we yet to see a major upset at the AFCON?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, because
Sudan are the ones who held the keys.
They were close.
Every time a team has sort of set the pace or for an upset, they've crumbled and let the stronger
and
team
then
back
maybe Tanzania with that Morocco clash. Maybe Benin could be that team,
Possible. Possible. Very possible.
Gabi, I mean, you look at the number of times these 2 teams have met. It's Egypt have won 3 times and had drawn once with this particular side they're about facing. I expect it's difficult to say because this AFCON is not giving you the
AFCON is unforgiving. I think we need to. When you think that the big teams would go all out and do wonderful things, and then you find a low-ranked team knocking the big team out.
We are yet to see that in a round of 16, isn't it? So it's difficult to tell if Benin will be able to serve us, that particular dish. But it's difficult. You look at Egypt's front lines. It's Mohamed Salah, Trezeguet, Mamouche. Difficult. I have a strong feeling they are just going to sit right on the neck of those defenders out there and pin them to not do a lot of runs, especially the guys on the natural 2 and 3 position to overlap and all of that. And I see them leaving 2 guys behind and allowing Hamdi Fati it is to drop deep and sit with for where I'm sitting I cannot see but I mean to sit in between
Rami Rabbi
and Ibrahim, to form a back 3 and allow Hani and Hamdi to overlap and join in attack to help Trezeguet and Mo Salah and co to be able to unlock them, because I have a strong feel the Benin national team are going to sit in deep and rely on the strength of Aloko. In this formation, they I have a feel they sit in a 4-3-3, but he has the ability to play also as a lone striker, allow him that space to move up front. If he's sharp enough, rely on that quick counter break, he's able to fetch a goal for them. That said, Egypt are going to be much more sharper. They know this is the round of 16. You get out and it's going to be a bit of a problem. All the 6 shots in their other game against who they play against, all the 6 shots targeted at the goalkeeper, he saved. In the game, prior to this. So I'm of a strong belief that is going to be one that they will need to be very serious and get into it, vary their chances, look at the stats they have, and rely on their individual brilliance as well to be able to fetch that all important point in this particular fixture.
Okay, so
just a quick one. Look, we are looking for those big shocks and all, and I think to an extent we already have one, and we are likely to get another one tomorrow. But because it doesn't involve necessarily a minnow on the African continent, that's how come we don't necessarily classify it as big shocks. Because, for instance, this past weekend, South Africa losing to Cameroon. Per the context, it's a big shock. It's an upset.
I get you.
Because Cameroon has been in turmoil for multiple months. They got their acts together just 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the start of the tournament. A new manager was appointed.
But it's a different narrative on the pitch.
You get it. Major big names were dropped. Experienced heads, old heads were dropped, and new guys were brought into the team. And
I think because maybe I didn't really picture that, because I'm probably looking at pedigree at the AFCON. That's why it maybe dropped me in my mind.
But the context.
I get the point.
Form guide,
everything. It's a big shock because South Africa finished 3rd at the last AFCON. They've qualified to the World Cup. Cameroon didn't qualify to the World Cup. And on top of that, you look at their team made up of mainly South Africa-based players, home-based players. And so that chemistry is already there because most of them played at the last AFCON, and now even more quality has been added to the team because young players who have stepped up and are playing solid minutes for the likes of Orlando Pirates and Sundowns, Kaizer Chiefs, like in Bekezeli, in Mbokani. Those guys have been added to the team, so it was a shock. It was a shock, and tomorrow there's likely to be another shock because many people do not tip
in the Ivory Coast game. Or which one?
No, I'm looking at DR Congo. Many people tip Algeria to beat DR Congo.
Charlie, that should be
but DR Congo, game. I see DR Congo beating Algeria.
Should be the best game of the round.
DR Congo too.
Yes, I see DR Congo beating Algeria.
Okay, we'll see about that.
So it depends on how you view the narratives around and about the teams competing in the tournament so far. So I think it's not necessarily we have had some shocks, and we are likely to have some shock tomorrow. If DR Congo don't pull it off, then like what you mentioned, Burkina Faso beating Cote d'Ivoire
is another shock.
It's another shock. But because Burkina Faso, they are not necessarily Lesotho or let's say Somalia, so even if they beat Cote d'Ivoire, you wouldn't consider it too much of a shock. But when you look at things critically, it is a shock because Cote d'Ivoire, the defending champions, for crying out loud. Yes, and you look at how they've gone through the group phase. They're losing to Burkina Faso. It will be a big shock.
Well, let's see what will happen. The AFCON is really getting interesting. It's the Inside AFCON 2025 on 97.3 Citi FM. Gabi Ofeye with my guys Benjamin Ikitia, Yao Jeminta, and Bernard Abeku. You out there listening to us, you can also reach out 0539969996. 0539986996. Guys, let's talk about one team that are in uncharted territory at this particular stage of the AFCON in Mozambique, who are in action later against Nigeria. Let me start off with you, Bernard. With this, Nigeria, I mean, y'all mentioned that has explained the whole upsets and the shocks thing that can actually come. This is one other game that can also give you that result in terms of Mozambique shocking up Nigeria. just what I thought. I mean, I would love that to see to happen. The Nigerians, they're already talking big about if they get to win this AFCON, it means it's 4 AFCON titles, tied with Ghana, tied with Cote d'Ivoire as well. Just what are you expecting from that game?
Look, Nigeria have dominated the head-to-head between the two. They've been flamboyant, I feel, in the group stages of the competition and all. But Mozambique is aware they were third in that group, and if they want to advance through to the next phase of the competition, they have to come strong. They are not one of the favorites in this competition, but if they are able to surprise a country. Mozambique, right? They've surprised us before.
Yeah, that's how I'm laughing.
It was a draw. It was a draw.
That's a surprise.
So every time I see this country,
but it was a draw.
It's just that thing.
Yeah, it was a draw, and that's why I don't see that.
Don't touch. I will touch.
That's why I don't see that.
Why was that? In AFCON, right? Ben was there. Ben can describe the moment better.
See, that's why I don't see them being the ones to shock Nigeria. Because at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, even their best against Ghana at that time, our performance was wobbly. It was a draw.
Not to cut you, right? I think that they've actually improved. They have improved compared to the last AFCON I watched them.
They have.
I watched them in a group stage.
But the context isn't great. Now let's feel this, right?
Okay.
Their win against Gabon was their first ever win at the AFCON. First ever win at the AFCON.
And mind you, that game against Gabon that they won.
Upset, isn't it?
Yeah, that was an upset.
Yeah.
Can I even call it an upset? Okay, a little bit because Gabon were
in terms of pedigree game.
Yeah, Gabon were tipped to win that game.
Progress, yeah.
And yes, ifs and buts. But you look at the chances that Gabon got in that game. And Aubameyang and co squandered those gilt-edged opportunities. You ask yourself, it could have been a totally different story, but that is out of the case. That's out of the way. They've progressed to the round of 16 against Nigeria. I don't see that thing happening because of the overwhelming quality that the Nigerians have.
And they concede a lot of goals as well.
The only issue
the
only issue that Nigeria will have is likely to happen in the first 15 minutes. That is jitters because. The pressure on these guys is overwhelming.
Score during that period.
I don't see them scoring during that period because at the end of the day, I've seen the goals that they scored against Gabon, and I see Nigeria being able to defend well against them. And Nigeria has already experienced this in the tournament already with Tanzania, where it was very shaky, a very shaky performance from Nigeria. But at the end of the day, they managed to get the needed goals to win the game, and that's the same thing I see in today's game. Against Mozambique.
Well, I love the upsets, Ben. I just hope that happens.
It won't happen. It won't happen. They've considered in each of their first 18 AFCON matches. Like every time they play, they concede. You know that's gonna happen, so you can put that in the back of your mind, and that doesn't bode well for you. I mean, if you're a team that always, if you need to win a game and you always need to come back, especially as an underdog, it just doesn't bode well for you. Nigeria again. They are playing with a chip on their shoulder. They are very upset about not making it to the World Cup. And so they are determined to use the AFCON as their consolation prize. And don't forget that Eric Chell remains unbeaten in competitive fixtures. Yeah. And so this is a big deal. If you look at historically the head-to-head for this game, this will be the 6th meeting between the teams at senior level and just the 2nd at the AFCON. Now, their previous clash came in January 2010 in Angola. Nigeria won that game 3-0. Odemwingie, Brace, and Obafemi Martins. Odemwingie and Obafemi Martins. So that's how far back. So this would only be one of a few installments for the two teams. Now Nigeria are unbeaten in the 5 meetings. So 4 wins and 1 draw. So it's not a team they worry about. But again, if you look at the trends of the recent results, so the 2010 FIFA World Cup qualifiers was goalless in Maputo. Nigeria won 1-0 in Abuja through Victor Obina. Now in 2023 October, Nigeria beat them 3-2 in a friendly. So you can tell that while Nigeria are the dominant team, Mozambique have closed the gap bit by bit by bit. If it is a gap they've closed enough, is another matter altogether. But again, Nigeria have shown that in this game or in this tournament, they can hurt you in multiple ways. So Lukman 2 goals, Onyedika 2 goals. They've got it in Ndidi and others to score as well. My only problem is what I was talking about earlier with Egypt. I have a certain fear. I don't know if it will manifest this stage against Mozambique, but I feel like there's a tendency that Nigeria could have peaked too early in the tournament. Scored a lot of goals, won all games. Sometimes it's just hard to go beyond that. And the 8 goals they scored in the group phase is the most they've ever scored in any AFCON group phase. So this is a record for them. And so I just wonder or worry a little if they have another gear in them. Either which ways, regardless of how it goes down, they should have enough to beat Mozambique. But after this stage is where I think their real test will come.
Okay, so let's get into the numbers. So Nigeria to win by 1 goal, 2-0, 2-1.
3-0.
Hey.
2-0.
2-0.
Yeah.
Bernard.
Mozambique 2-1.
Mozambique to win.
No, Nigeria 2. 2-1 for Nigeria.
Okay, interesting stuff. I mean, I just want to run through the goal scorers so far the tournament, right? Then we'll wrap up. The goal scorers, I'm loving the way it's looking so far. Brahim Diaz is stopping. With that, he has 4 goals. He has 4 goals in the tournament. And then next is Zelkabi. His teammates with 3 goals. There is Mares from Algeria with 3 goals. Sinayoko Mali 3. Lau Foster, South Africa, they are home. He has 2 goals. He's going back to Burnley to help the team in the PL. Ademola Lookman has 2 goals. Nigeria, Katamo
should have 3 goals?
Yeah, he has 2 goals.
2 goals, okay.
Yeah, I think he's been the brightest chap. So he and Ronaldo have been very good for Mozambique at this AFCON.
I think he's their top scorer in the AFCON.
Yeah.
Right now.
And then Gal Kakuta, Charlie, Ben, do you remember
my guy?
Charlie, this guy can't work for Chelsea.
Yeah, at that time they said he was primed to be one of the best youngsters ever Charlie, to walk the football world.
He has 2 goals. Then Maza Algeria 2. So when you look at from first to fourth, all those teams, the players who are occupying those positions have their countries in that tournament. I mean, the tournament's still ongoing. But I just find out on the Nigerian game, and then we can finish up.
It's their tournament because they have no World Cup to play in. They've gotten talent as well. For the first time, they are playing under a very organized structure, with the coach having the plan to get closer to the trophy, if possible, win it. Coming into the competition, many did not mention the name Nigeria to go ahead and get closer and winning the trophy, but they seem to have settled. They look like it. But this is another test because it's against a tricky side. A side you have a better advantage over in terms of starts and head to head. So for me, as I predict 2-1 because if they are not focused enough and they still seem to dream of the joy they had in the group stage, you could just go to the what's the name? Extra time of the competition for me.
When I spoke to Victor Ademola, the Nigerian sports journalist, he mentioned something that Eric Shaw has to carry this team all the way to the finals and make up for their shenanigans in the World Cup qualifiers. Just a quick question for you guys. Do you think that the NFF should sack Eric Shaw after if he fails to do that? No, because they wanted to sack him.
They're not serious.
After the World Cup
those guys are not serious.
Before the AFCON, right, his record in the World Cup qualifiers was 11 matches. He had won 7 and drawn 4. But they still said that they wanted to.
You see, the turmoil around the Nigerian team has more to do with everything else than tactical, efficiency on the pitch. Yeah. They have players. They have, I think Eric Charles is a decent manager. I just think that there's almost always too much noise around their national team that they cannot concentrate and play football when it is required. And then there's also the issue of the fans heaping unnecessary pressure on the team every time there's a little blip. They expect the team to win 11 out of 10 games. That's how they are.
For them ahead, they've won the AFCON.
Every time they drop points, then there's unnecessary pressure. I don't think that needs to happen. I just feel like they need to give him the leeway to do his job. if they don't reach the heights. I mean, if you get eliminated at the round of 16, they are justified in sacking you because it's Nigeria. And I think they've made it to more quarterfinals probably than any other team on the continent. And so there's a certain minimum benchmark for them.
Okay.
But there are bigger cracks in their team, and it's not a coaching crack. He's a decent coach. They need to keep him, probably build on what they have now and see what they can do going forward.
Okay. Well, we just can't say all the best to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who are in action later tonight against Mozambique. As we speak, Egypt are currently taking on Benin at the 2025 AFCON happening all the way in Morocco. Thank you guys, Benjamin Nketia, Yao, J, Minta, Benara Beku, Ochre. That's your show for today. We are back same time tomorrow for another episode of the Inside AFCON 2025.
Never fall. The warriors of Zimbabwe stand tall.
I'm Gabby Affair. Up next is the news at 4 for Take it away.
Coming up in the bulletin, G-Tech threatening